Psychological warfare is not waged with swords or shields. It is a battle of perception, patience, and manipulation. A contest where the unseen move outweighs the obvious strike. No historical figure embodied the art of mental chess more perfectly than Julius Caesar. His rise from a relatively obscure nobleman to the master of Rome was not achieved through brute force alone, but through relentless psychological strategy. To understand how to beat anyone at mental warfare, you must first grasp that victory lies not in attacking the body, but in capturing the mind. Caesar mastered this principle by building an aura of inevitability around himself. He crafted his image as a man touched by destiny, and through carefully calculated acts of mercy, bravado, and tactical patience, he disarmed enemies before they ever dared to cross swords with him. He understood a critical law of psychological battle. People do not fear strength alone. They fear unpredictability wrapped in charm. By appearing both magnanimous and ruthless depending on the situation, Caesar kept every rival guessing, off balance, and divided in their assessments of him. That is the first principle. Control your image to control the battlefield. But Caesar's mental chess was more intricate than mere reputation management. He understood the primal forces that drove human beings: fear, ambition, vanity, and he weaponized them like a master sculptor working with marble. When he crossed the Rubicon, defying the Senate's orders and essentially declaring civil war, it was not a reckless move. It was psychological domination at its finest. By acting decisively, publicly, and with a flair for the dramatic, he shifted the mental burden onto his enemies. They were forced to respond, and in their scramble to react, they made mistakes. To beat anyone at psychological warfare, you must force them onto the defensive mentally. You must dictate the tempo, create dilemmas that have no clean solution, and make your opponent feel like every move they make tightens their own noose. Caesar made his enemies prisoners of their own hesitation. While they debated in fear and doubt, he acted, and thus rewrote the future in his favor. Understand this: he who acts with certainty bends reality around himself. Moreover, Julius Caesar understood a brutal truth about psychological war. Loyalty is a fragile illusion. He knew that men pledge themselves to those who promise them a better future or a safer existence, not out of true love or loyalty, but out of self-interest. He exploited this by presenting himself not merely as a commander, but as the avatar of opportunity. After his victories, he spared defeated foes generously, offering them a chance to tie their futures to his growing legend, rather than to the rotting corpse of the Republic. Mercy was not weakness, it was strategic absorption. In your own psychological battles, do not aim to destroy opponents when you can absorb them. Let them betray their own allies to serve you. Let them reframe their failure as foresight by joining your cause. In this way, you expand your power while appearing righteous. The true master of mental chess converts enemies into pawns, not corpses. Another critical tactic from Caesar's life was the art of creating inevitability. Long before his military campaigns, he engineered a sense of destiny about himself. He invested in public games, speeches, alliances, and image building at every stage. Even when setbacks occurred, accusations of corruption, political enemies blocking his moves, he framed them not as defeats, but as temporary obstacles in a journey preordained by fate itself. Psychological dominance often comes down to the narrative. If you allow others to shape the story, you have already lost. But if you impose your own myth, relentlessly, consistently, even irrationally, the world will bend to believe it. Caesar understood that people would rather follow a rising sun than a setting one. Therefore, you must never let others see your fear, your uncertainty, or your internal doubts. Your mind must become a citadel, guarded by confidence and fed by self-prophecy. Caesar also recognized the subtle balance between presence and absence, when to be visible and when to withdraw like a storm cloud that leaves only dread in its wake. He did not overplay his hand. After his stunning conquests, when his popularity soared, he returned to Rome not as a king, but as a citizen who pretended humility, all while gathering unprecedented powers under the surface. The lesson here is profound. In mental warfare, do not expose your power too openly. Let others underestimate you until it is too late. Play the fool if it buys you time. Let your enemies whisper that you are weak, indecisive, or arrogant. While they waste energy on underestimation, you are free to maneuver without resistance. By the time they see the full scope of your strength, you will have already surrounded them, mentally and strategically. Finally, perhaps Caesar's most potent psychological weapon was his mastery of timing. He understood that patience could kill faster than a blade. In Gaul, he waged a years-long campaign, not merely defeating tribes militarily, but demoralizing them, wearing them down economically and psychologically until surrender seemed preferable to hope. In Rome, he did not rush to declare himself dictator for life. He waited until public hunger for order and stability outweighed fear of tyranny. Victory in psychological war is often not about the first strike, but about enduring longer, knowing when to act decisively and when to let time do your work for you. Most men are slaves to their impulses. The true master waits until the perfect moment when the opponent's mind is broken under pressure, and then strikes a blow so decisive that recovery becomes impossible. To beat anyone at psychological warfare, you must become like Caesar, a living paradox. Be merciful and merciless. Be visible yet mysterious. Act decisively, yet wait patiently. Shape your legend as if you are sculpting a god out of clay. Attack minds, not bodies. Break wills, not bones. Remember that the greatest victories are the ones achieved before the enemy even realizes they have lost. When you master yourself, your fears, your image, your patience, you will find that no external opponent can defeat you. The battlefield is not out there. It is within, and the emperor who rules himself rules all. Thus remember, we are Indecepta. Becoming Indecepta is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war.